Stephen Horrell is a senior fellow at the Center for European Policy Analysis. He joins me now live from Maryland in the U.S. Thank you very much for joining us here on TRT World. Is there any logical explanation for this attack on shopping mall?
There is not. We saw last night, I think there were over 60 missiles to multiple cities across Ukraine. The shopping mall is obviously horrific, but it's unthinkable that these are all civilian areas and not good military targets. And it's continuing again tonight. I'm looking at feeds from Kharkiv, a Russian-speaking city of Kharkiv, with again multiple air raids, multiple strikes coming in.
What does it tell us? What does it possibly indicate now that Russia has almost full control of Severodonetsk? Has Russia changed its kind of a strategy in Ukraine? Is it trying to attack more and more civilian areas now?
I think we have to remember that at the outset of the war, when Russia launched several thousand missile strikes in the early days of the war, those were at urban areas and civilian areas as well. So yes, after the retreat from trying to take Kyiv and Kharkiv and the focus on Donetsk and Lugansk by the Russians, that abated a little bit. But I think having gotten a little success in the east, in Lugansk region, they're now resuming that sort of, it's almost terror attacks on these civilian areas.
Now, Stephen, when President Vladimir Putin announced this so-called military operation in Ukraine, I remember he said that one of his primary objectives was to maintain control of the Donbass region. Now, according to many reports, Russia is in control of the Donbass region. But now we are seeing more and more attacks taking place in civilian areas. So is it likely for Russia to try to capture regions beyond the Donbass? Let's say, for example, Kiev.
I think it is. So let's remember before this third invasion of Ukraine, the political theater that took place was about recognizing these self-declared statelets, these separatist states in Donetsk and in Lugansk. That was the justification. And even in that discussion, when people were looking at the force buildup and considering whether or not it was going to be a full invasion across all of Ukraine, the scenario for a limited incursion would have been to expand the holdings in the Donetsk and Lugansk oblasts from what those Russian-led separatists held prior to February 24th. What we did see, though, is that multi-axis invasion. They're clearly making a run on Kyiv. They clearly wanted the Zelensky government to fall and ready to besiege Kyiv and even get into urban warfare there. You know, they were defeated in that. But this war in the east kind of played to Russia's strengths more. And what we've seen in this effort focused on the Donbass has been more of an artillery slugfest rather than those fast-moving columns that were vulnerable when we saw Ukraine use the advanced anti-tank weapons against them. So they're focused on the east now. And again, they've got apparently just enough bandwidth and attention to re-attack the civilian areas with these missile strikes across Ukraine, try and terrorize it. They're also focused on the south as well. Even after withdrawing from around Kyiv and Kharkiv, they want to get to Mykolaiv and to Odessa, because cutting off the entire Black Sea coast would be economic strangulation of Ukraine. So they do still have ambitions beyond just the immediate Donetsk and Lugansk areas.
All right, Stephen Horrell, thank you very much for talking to us here on TRT World. Really appreciate your taking out the time.
Certainly. Thank you for having me.